Hello, and welcome to another song breakdown. I'm Jonathan, and today we're going to be looking at the song Great Are You Lord by All Sons and Daughters. Now, this song is originally recorded in the key of A, and it has a 6/8 time signature. It's a fairly simple song. It's a 4-chord song, and if you don't know what I'm talking about there, don't worry. Here in the near future, I'll be doing an entire video just on 4-chord songs. What does that mean? What are the 4 chords of a 4-chord song? But needless to say, it's a very simple song. It just uses the 1, 4, 5, and the minor 6. And so that's it. It just uses 4 chords. And it uses some variations on those chords, but they're not too hard to do. But yeah, with its simplicity, it offers a lot of versatility. This song can easily be rearranged, shuffled around, extended, shortened, however you want to do it. You can also chop it up and use it as little spots in between larger songs in a set. It'd be really easy to blend it with some other songs, especially thematically, like How Great Is Our God, How Great Thou Art. The time signature might be a little bit weird to transition between those, but I could see you doing that. It's really fun to be able to work with this song in that way. So in today's breakdown, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the actual chords that are being used in the song. We're going to talk about the chords the chord shapes that Leslie Jordan, the guitarist, what she plays for this song. We're going to talk about the different options and tweaks for these chords to kind of add to them to make them a little bit fuller. We're going to talk about the strumming pattern, a very basic strumming pattern to do in this song. And then lastly, we're just going to really break down the parts of this song and talk about how you could rearrange it, some different ideas for rearranging this song. So like I said, the song is originally in the key of A. Now, I find that key works all right. It tends to be a little bit high for me, so I like to do it in the key of F. That tends to work pretty well for me and for my congregation. And there's a wonderful site, Renewing Worship. I think it's .com or .org, one or the other. I'll put a link down in the description below. But Renewing Worship has an entire page on keys for max participation for your congregation. So what keys are going to be easiest for your congregation to sing, and that's really what's important. If your congregation can't follow you, you're really not leading them, you're performing for them, and those are two very different things. And it's our job to lead our congregation, so we want to make sure that it's in a key that's going to be good for them, that's going to work well for them. And I find that D works well, but on that Renewing Worship site, it recommends E or F. I said D. I play D-shaped chords when I'm doing that. I do D capo 3. That works well. But yeah, it's in the key of F or the key of E. Those tend to work pretty well. The key of A just seems a little bit too high for me for the most part. But you might find that it works. You might find that the people you lead, it works well for them as well. So play around with it and see what you think. But like I said, it's a 4-chord song, so it's pretty easy to shuffle those chords around, and the shapes that I'm going to show you make it even easier when you got a capo on there to move around. But in the key it's in, those 4 chords that are played are an A, that's your 1 chord, a D, that's your 4, an E, that's your 5, and then F sharp minor is your minor 6. So those are the 4 chords that you would play. If you didn't have a capo, if you're talking to your keyboardist or your bassist or to your singers, those are the chords that you're actually playing. For the sake of simplicity, from here on out, I'm going to use the shapes that you're going to be playing. So know that it's in the key of A, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to put a capo on fret 2, and we're going to play it with G shape. So from here on out, I'm going to either be referring to it in the key of G, or I'm just going to use the numbers. That'll make it a little bit easier. And at first, I'm not going to put the capo on so that you can see my hands clearly as to what Leslie Jordan, what she plays. And it makes it so much more comfortable for your hand. It makes the different options that we talked about that we're going to talk about easy as well. And it's great if you want to move it around. It makes it a whole lot easier. You're not dealing with bar chords. So we're going to zoom in real quick, and we're going to look at these chords and their different options. Okay. So we're going to look at these different chord options for the song. So again, if we're playing it like she does, we're going to have a capo on that second fret. Okay, and we're going to play G-shaped chords. So I'm going to move the capo so you can see my hand a little bit better. So that one chord, instead of an A, it's going to be a G. The 4 chord, instead of a D, it's going to be a C, or this is actually a C2 shape. Okay, it's just like our G chord. Okay, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret. It's just like that G chord, but we're just going to bring these 2 fingers down. That's that C2 shape, and this is actually the shape that she uses. Instead of a traditional C, she plays a C2. So that's that 4 chord. So instead of a D, it's the C2. We have a D chord. Alright. So all around that 3rd fret, right, that ring finger gets to stay there. D chord. And then we have an E minor for our minor 6. Now, I'll show you these variations that get used in the song. So for this G, actually I showed you this G, but this is actually the better shape for it. You see 3rd fret, 2nd fret, pinky's down here on this 3rd fret, G. And the reason this shape works really well is because we have this G suspended. You might see it as G suspended 4, G sus 4, something like that. And all that means is it's going to take whatever chord you're on, because we're going to see this a couple times in this song. Whatever chord you're on, you take the root. So this is a G chord. So G is my root. And I'm going to do my major scale from there. And I'm just going to count up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a G sus 4. That 4 is important. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that note right there is the 4 for G. And that happens to be a C note. So a G sus 4 or a G suspended, really all it means is that chord plus the 4. And so in this case, the 4 happens to be a C. So we're going to play a regular G chord. Then all we have to do is find a C note and plug it in. Plug it into the chord. And so there's a C note right here. Okay, so we have a G with a sus 4. So anytime you see in this song G sus, and it really only happens during the bridge and the instrumental to the bridge, you have a G, and you have a G sus, G suspended 4, just adding that note there. So you have this G chord, and you have this variation. Now I mentioned earlier she does a C2. During the vast majority of the song, she's playing this C2, alright? But I find that during the bridge, your standard C actually works better. It's a lot more comfortable getting from one chord to the next. So you've got this G to the suspended, down to a C chord, your normal kind of sprawled out C, 3rd fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret. Alright, so I find that that works pretty well. Just in that section. Everywhere else in the song, I'm playing the C2 because it just flows a lot better. And really, that's all it's about. It's about comfortability, convenience. If you're not familiar with playing a C2, if you've never really done that, then just stick to your normal C. If you can do that really well, just play a C chord. If you're not comfortable with that spread, you haven't really gotten that down to where you can spread your hand out like that quickly and efficiently, then just stick with a C2. That's no big deal. I would recommend trying the other shape. Whatever you're not strong in, try the other one because it's good to have that versatility. But these are just options for those chords. So you have G as your 1 with G suspended, C2 or C as your 4. Then we have a D chord, and this is actually a D suspended 4 for most of the song. It kind of goes back and forth there. And so same idea. This is a D chord, so we're going to go to a D note. We're going to do a major scale from there. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a D suspended 4. So I got to find that 4 note, and that happens to be a G right there. D, E, F sharp, G. So I take a D chord and I add a G, which this happens to be the easiest G to get. And again, you can find any G you want to add to that. I guess you could kind of go up there. That's technically a D suspended 4 because you got this G note up here. But this just makes it a whole lot easier. And this is what she's actually doing. Just adding that pinky right there, 3rd fret. It makes it nice and pretty. And then lastly, we have an E minor 7. And so anytime you see that, just a 7 at the end of a note, all you need to do is find the root of the chord, which this happens to be an E. It's an E minor chord, so we take the E. And if it just says 7 there, what we're actually going to do is just going to go back 2 frets. So there's an E, back 2 frets, it's a D note. So how do we make an E minor 7? We take an E minor chord and we add a D note. So it's your standard E minor. There's a lot of ways to play this chord that works really well, but this I find is the most convenient way. So you have your normal E minor, and then you just keep these 2 fingers down here from your G's and C2s and D sus's. Alright, you got E minor, and these 2 down here. This is a D note. And then this is just a repeat of a G note, which G's in E minor. So E minor, 7. So those are the chords in the song. And there's only 2 chord progressions in this entire song. There's a number of parts of this song, about 5 if you include the instrumentals. But there's really only 2 chord progressions. The first happens in the verses, the intro, the chorus, the little instrumental between the chorus and going back into the verse, and it's this. It's just a C2 for 1 measure. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. E minor for 1 measure, E minor 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it's a D suspended for 2 measures. And I like to kind of go back and forth on that D suspended to a D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the first chord progression. C for a measure, E minor 7 for a measure, D for 2 measures. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. That's the verse, that's the chorus, that's the instrumental. Then we have a second chord progression, and this only happens on the instrumental leading into the bridge and the bridge itself. And that's going to be 2 measures of G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That G suspended for 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. C for 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. G for 2 measures. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so if you think that might seem like a lot to try and get your head wrapped around, but if you think of it in 8 measure sections, you've got 2 G's, 2 G suspended 4s, 2 C's, and then 2 more G's. So a group of 8. 2 G's, 2 G suspendeds, 2 C's, 2 normal G's. Group of 8. And that's the whole song, those 2 chord progressions. C, E minor 7, D for 2 measures, and then G, G sus, C, back to G. It's the whole song, right, in those two chord progressions. So, now what we're going to do is we're going to shift over here, and we're going to look at the strumming pattern real quick. And it's a pretty simple strumming pattern. And again, all these things are just kind of options. I'm going to go ahead and put the capo back on. so it actually sounds like what the recording is. And so, again, this song's in 6/8. So the very basic thing you can do is just that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just strum out the 6 beats. Just strum out those 6/8 notes. That's it. You could do that the whole song, and it would fill it. It would fill out the song. It would do its job of keeping that rhythm going, keeping that movement going. Now, I like to add some up strums to kind of fill it out even more. And so where I add these up strums are on the 2 and the 3, and the 5 and the 6. So I'm going to count it out, and then I'll play it. So it goes 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6. So 1 and 4 still get emphasized, but then on the 2, 3, 5, and 6, you add some up strums. So let me show you how that's played, and it might be easier to catch on that way. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. Do that through the entire song. It works on the instrumental section going into the bridge. It works on the bridge itself. So that strumming pattern will work throughout the whole song. In the beginning of the song, it's a lot softer. Actually, the guitarist, she doesn't come into playing until the second time around on that verse. So she's completely out of the first verse and the first chorus. She comes in on that second verse. And so if you were wanting to emulate that, now I think his name's David, is the pianist. He's kind of doing some light finger work during the verse and the chorus the first time. So if you want to imitate that, maybe you don't have a pianist, maybe it's just you leading this song, and you want to kind of imitate that softness to add some dynamic, you can just do a little bit of picking. And nothing crazy. What I'm about to show you is just slowly strumming through it, and just kind of being a little bit loose with that. I'm just being really loose with it. I'm not really even going into it with any kind of strumming pattern in mind, or picking pattern in mind. I'm just kind of going at it and letting it just kind of breathe a little bit, letting those chords breathe. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. So I'm just being really light with my pick, and just kind of slowly going through string by string. Nothing fancy. It sounds more complicated than it is, but it's really just kind of going string by string through it. And it imitates that sound of a piano, just kind of picking out those notes, kind of similar to what he's doing. So it's the chords, chord progression, variations on the chord, and the strumming pattern. Let me zoom back out real quick, and we're going to talk about just kind of how we break down the song as a whole. All right, so as the song as a whole, we're looking at it, really only has three lyrical parts. Again, it only has two chord progression, but only has three lyrical parts. One is the verse, chorus, and then we've got the bridge. And so that chord progression, that central chord progression of a C2, E minor 7, and a D suspended runs throughout the entire song. So in my mind, those sections can be repeated as often as you like. You can kind of weave in and out of that. The great thing is that if you're working with a team, you don't really, you've got some freedom to move around the song. You can just give them one of these, or like a little nod, like let's keep on going, and they can just keep on with that same chord progression over and over again. You can give some breath in between the verses and the choruses. After a chorus, you might just let it rest in that chord progression for a minute. Gives you some time to pray, gives you some time to have your congregation have some reflection, or really just let those words sink in. Again, there's only three lyrical parts, so those words can really be driven home, and they can really let them sink in. And you just go over that chord progression over and over again. Give it some time to breathe. You can read some scripture there. You can pray. The bridge, if you want to throw in a bridge, let that spirit move and kind of go into a bridge again, you're going to have some kind of a signal, because that's where that chord progression changes. But even that, once you're in that chord progression, you can keep on going with that bridge and repeat it, however you like. Again, there's always the joke of the worship leader saying, hey, we're going to do that chorus or that bridge one more time, and then 5 hours later they're still playing that same bridge. Don't be that guy or that girl. Know when to drop it and come back into the chorus or something like that. In the original recording, they have that instrumental once to kind of set the tone for the bridge, and then they go into that bridge 3 times. When I'm doing the song, I kind of, as my default, I keep it in the same arrangement that they do it, and which is the verse to the chorus, instrumental break, verse again, chorus twice, a lot louder that second time through the verse and the choruses, some dynamic shift. From that chorus, the second time on that repeat, going into that instrumental, that next instrumental with the G sus2, or the G sus4 and the C, and then going into that bridge 3 times, come back out of that right into the chorus, do the chorus twice, and then you're done with the song. And that's kind of my default. That's how they do it. That's good to have a default mode, but this song really offers a lot of options as far as weaving it. One thing I do like to do with this song, and you can kind of hear it in the recording, although I don't see a lot of people doing this themselves, and I guess because it's a little bit more ad-libbed, but when the song is over, when they're done with the song, they do that chorus the last time, they'll play through that instrumental, and Leslie, the guitarist, she sings, she vocalizes, "And Great Are You, Lord." So you got so she's just vocalizing there. She's just kind of ad-libbing, but I think that's a great option. In my presentation of this song and Proclaim, that's the software we use, I have "And Great Are You, Lord" as its own slide. I have that as kind of, I've labeled that as a tag, because I think that's that's the title of the song. That's really the focus of the song. And so I like to throw that in there when there's some, in between choruses or verses, or definitely at the end of the song, I like to tag that line. And great are you, Lord. It's a great tag to throw in there. And you're just doing that same chord progression over and over again. That's why it's so easy to throw that in there as just kind of like an ad-lib or just a vocalization. Because it's that same chord progression, you just got to find that timing when you're going to come in with that. So I like to end the song with that. That's a good line just to throw through there anyways. So as far as chords to end this song is in the key of A, relatively in the key of G here. And so you could end it on a G chord, although, again, the G's only getting played during the bridge. It's kind of odd in that way that the one chord only gets reserved for this one part of the song. It really centers around that C chord as kind of its tonal center. And so you can end on a C. That kind of works. I've ended with a ending on that D chord, just kind of letting it resolve there. You could end on a C. That would make sense in this circumstance. You could end it on a G. That would make it kind of have a really nice happy feeling. You know, this is your standard way to resolve that. Kind of end that song. I really like to end it on an E minor 7. I think it kind of draws it down. Again, if you're weaving this in and out of other songs, I mean, that's going to affect it too. You know, if you're going into like, how great is our God, or how great thou art, you might want to think about that. You know, you might want to end with a G chord so that you can go into that chord progression. You can set that up well, especially if you're doing like I do with capo 3, playing at D-shaped chords. But you know, that's up to you. I think ending on an E minor 7 kind of has a nice feel to it. Great are you, Lord. I think that works pretty well myself. Well, I think that's about it. I think that covers this song. That breaks it down pretty well. If you have any questions, anything you want me to go over a little bit more, you know, feel free to drop a comment down below. If you have some other ways that you like to incorporate this song into set lists, songs that you like to weave in and out with this song, ways you like to arrange this, put that in the comments below too. What's your favorite chord to end this song on? What key do you like to sing this in? What key works well for your congregation? Again, hit that subscribe button, because here soon I will be breaking down what is a 4-chord song and why is it so important to know that when we're looking at worship music. So yeah, I think that's about it. So I'll see you on the next one.